Hey church family, I wanted to record a quick video to update you on some stuff that's going on here at the church, but also to give you a quick prep. I've really been thinking hard the last few days about how we fulfill our mission to be the love of Christ in the world during a time like this, when we've got a virus like this going around. And I wanted to share with you guys a few conclusions that I came to on how we can love God, love others, and love each other as a church during this time. And I wanted to do that in the form of, the easiest one I could think of was a list of things to do and not to do right now in order to be God's love to the people around us. So I'll start with the negative, the things that we shouldn't be doing if we want to love other people right now. And the first thing we shouldn't be doing is we shouldn't be underselling this. We shouldn't be making fun of people who are panicking. We shouldn't be making fun of people who are scared. There's some reason to be scared right now. It's understandable, especially for those who don't have the hope of Christ in them. So underselling it, saying, this isn't a big deal, don't worry about this, isn't really a way to be loving. Partially because it doesn't really reflect the reality that we're seeing, especially in other communities and other countries around the world, but partially just because it's not a very loving response to people who are at a scared, vulnerable time in their lives. Secondly, and you might be able to tell by how I talked about not underselling it, we also shouldn't panic. We don't need to panic. We need to lean on each other. We need to lean on the resources that God has given us, but we do not need to flip out. We do not need to worry about, is this the end of the world, and start doing the next thing that I'm going to mention, which is we don't need to be hoarding stuff right now. We are blessed to live in a country that has an amazing distribution network for supplies and food and so on and so forth. We're causing more problems with hoarding as a country than we could ever solve by doing that. This is a way for us to be loving to others by not pulling into ourselves things that they're going to need in their lives to survive. I shouldn't have 1,000 rolls of toilet paper in my pantry when the family across the street doesn't have any because I went and bought them all from the store before they could get there. And this will connect to one of our things to do later on. If this advice is coming to you too late, that's okay. There's forgiveness for everything in Jesus Christ, and maybe God will even use it as a blessing for someone else later on. So let's keep moving. The next thing is, don't plan too far out. I'm going to talk later in this message about what we as a church are doing to respond to this situation, but there is stuff that we were planning to do or not to do 2 and 3 days ago that is already not making sense anymore in the way that things are changing in our state and in our country. That's just how fast things have been moving lately. This is a chance for us to learn the lesson that is taught in James 4, where the writer says, we can say, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that, but it's God who decides it in the end. This is a chance for us to remember that God is in control and that we are not. So plan for what you can, plan for what is in your control, and leave the rest up to God. Don't try to be planning things. I would strongly suggest don't be trying to plan things a month or 3 months down the road at this point, because we just don't know what the situation is going to look like by then. And then the last thing is, don't forget that this is not our final home. When we as Christians have a hope for eternity and have a hope for perfection with Jesus one day, it gives us permission to be a little frustrated and to be a little frightened by things that are going on in this imperfect world around us, and it gives us the power to love each other and to love others in a self-sacrificing way, because we know we don't have to win here on earth to win in the perspective of eternity. So those are my don'ts. Let's go on to positive things. Do social distance. I know it's a crazy buzzword, but it basically means if you don't have to be interacting with somebody, don't. If you have to go to work, go to work. If you have to go get groceries, go get groceries. Don't worry about it. Don't be afraid. But if you can avoid being in contact with other people right now, do it. And the reason that this is loving to others is that it is, especially for those of us who aren't really the at-risk people in this, to be honest, guys, I don't need to worry very much personally about this illness. I'm 30. I don't have a lot. Wow, I'm 31 now. I forgot about that. I'm 31 now. I don't have a lot of underlying health conditions. I'm probably fine, even if I get the virus. But I want to love the people around me by not giving it to them, by not accidentally being the way that somebody else gets this and maybe they're at a higher risk. So we can love other people right now by not being around them unless we absolutely have to. I'm trying really hard right now not to brush the hair off of my face, because the next one is do all of the hygiene tips that people like the CDC and the NIH are putting out. Don't touch your face unless you absolutely have to. Wash your hands as soon as you get home. Wash your hands regularly if you're out in public, so on and so forth. Use hand sanitizer if you've got it. If you're hoarding a giant batch of hand sanitizer, let me know, because I don't have very much and I could use some. Be safe, be hygienic, do all the things that they're suggesting that you do. And now we're going to get into a couple of do's that are very specifically Christian, I think. The first one is be generous. Do be generous during this time. This is a great time for us as a church and as individuals to be looking around and saying, how do I help other people around me? There are going to be a lot of folks, some of them in our church, some of them out of our church, who lose jobs because of this, or who have to cut back their hours to the point where they're having trouble making ends meet at one point or another. This is a great time to be generous and to help out however you can. One thing I'll mention at this point is if you want to give to the church's deacon fund, during this time, we just had a deacon meeting last night, and the deacons are going to be using that fund during this time to help people out in the church who are struggling because of the virus and because of its effects on the economy. So if you want to give towards that specifically, not the normal giving to the church, but you want to give towards that specifically, you can give on the church's website or send in a check and just put in the memo line that you want to give to the deacons fund. The next one is think about ways to love your neighbors. This goes back to that thing that I said about hoarding. Maybe it got to you too late and you have 6 months worth of toilet paper. I promise you, our supply system is not about to break down. You'll probably be fine with a couple months worth of toilet paper. So send a card to your neighbors that says, hey, I've got some extra of this. I've got some of that. Can I be praying for you? Think about ways that we can be loving our neighbors during this time and letting them know that we care about them and we care about their well-being. And the last thing on the do list before I get into what's going on here at the church the next few weeks is do be praying. Pray for yourself as an individual, as a family. Pray for us as a church, as a family. Pray for our communities. Pray for the leaders in our country who are figuring out how to best combat this virus. Pray for other countries around the world that are really struggling with it, that have been dealing with it longer than we have and are having a lot of trouble now. Just be soaking this situation in prayer. That'll help remind you that there's someone else who's in control, maybe help you not worry quite so much. I know it's helped me not to worry quite so much. And it'll also remind us that our hope, what is the line in the hymn? Our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. We've had the sweetest frame the last few years here. We as a country, we're one of the best in the world. We have some of the most money in the world. People live the best in the world. And this is a struggle now. This is a good reminder that we don't trust the sweetest frame, the easiest life, the best situation, the best country is not enough to put our trust in. We're putting our trust in Jesus. So now let me give you, I went and touched my face. I was trying so hard. Let me give you a couple of quick updates on what's going on with the church in the next couple weeks. And the simplest way to say it is not much. We are not going to be having organized activities or groups here at the church for the next 2 weeks. So that's until April 1st. We're going to shut down normal activities here at the church. The bells aren't practicing. The worship team isn't practicing. We aren't doing Sunday school. We aren't doing lunches. We aren't doing... we aren't going to do the Sunday morning service gathered together on Sunday for the next 2 weeks. That one really hurts me, guys. This is not something I'm having fun with or excited about, really. I love the gathered Sunday morning service. I love routine. I want everything to be the same all the time. I'm that super organized introvert who just wants my routine to roll and roll without any interruption. But we've decided that the way that we can be most loving to each other as a church for a couple of weeks here is to not see each other in a large group gathering, so as not to risk infecting each other and thus causing major health issues for our at-risk individuals in the church. We want to take these 2 weeks, be serious about this social distancing thing, so that our plan, and again, we're trying not to plan too far ahead because things change a lot, but our hope, and right now our plan is that on April 5th, we will start gathering for worship again, but instead of gathering all of us over here in the sanctuary, we will be gathering in a number of small groups around town. The current CDC guidance is to meet in groups of 10 or fewer, so that's what we're going to aim for. We're right now working on recruiting, training, preparing 5 to 8 homes around town to be small group meetings on a Sunday, where you can go, spend some time with people, sing 3 worship songs together that everybody else in the church will be singing, watch a video message that I will be recording. Don't worry, I've got a tripod and a mic and some improved video equipment, so the next one won't be as rough as this one. But we'll have prepared messages, and then we'll have some discussion questions and a time to pray together for what is going on in our community, for what is going on around. And then keep an ear to the ground, because the session is working really, really hard to connect to our cities and our community's leaders to find out how we can be serving each other during this time without risking ourselves or others becoming infected or becoming sick. So that's the breakdown. The 30-second version is we will not be having a gathered service here on the next 2 Sundays, but we will have a digital service that will be available to everyone. It should be up online by Saturday. That'll be a couple of YouTube videos with a song with lyrics so that each family can sing along, and then a short message from me and a list of discussion questions to take a look at there. That's the plan right now. Again, things change fast in a situation like this. Keep an eye on the church's Facebook page. Keep an eye on your email. If you are not on the church's email distribution list yet and you want to be, give me a call or send me an email. The church's email address is Woodlake, and then the letters epc@gmail.com. Send me an email if you want to be on the church's distribution list and you aren't yet, and I will take care of that. But we're going to communicate through a lot of different channels over these next few days to try to make sure that we're passing this information on to everyone. We're going to be as open with you guys as we can, but remember, things are going to change, and we're going to have to adapt very quickly. So be patient with us. I'm praying for all of you. Be praying for me. Clearly, I missed the course in seminary on leading a church through a global pandemic. I don't know what I was doing that semester, but clearly I missed that one. So be praying for me. Be praying for the church's leaders that are really struggling with these decisions. And be praying that we come out of this with a clearer view of how we exist for those who don't know Jesus Christ in our community. I am praying that we see conversions out of this, because people are scared, people are worried, people who maybe have never been uncomfortable enough to want to think about eternity or think about the hard things in life are being forced into that thought now. I am praying that you and I and all of us will be in contact with those people and able to love them and able to share the good news of Jesus with them through this time. So that's my hope, that's my prayer. This has been a long video, but I wanted to get you guys a lot of updates all at once. I'll try to continue communicating, whether by video or Facebook or email, over these next few days and over the next couple weeks. Remember, this Sunday, next Sunday, no gathered service here at the church, but be watching Facebook and your email for links to a digital worship playlist that each family can do at home together. And then in about 2.5 weeks, we're hoping to start up some small groups to gather together for worship and prayer. Love you all, praying for you all. and I'll talk to you again soon. I'm now going to awkwardly get up and go turn my phone off because, like I said, I don't have anything yet. The phone is stacked on a couple of coffee boxes. So, yeah.